So, can you give us some examples to make it real?
Sure. So some of the examples of things that you would put out to the community as far as to get their feedback are, things such as artwork, of course, the way that the game is going to actually look, give some examples, show people, get feedback on what they think is good. Not only that, but also their own ideas. There's nothing more exciting to somebody in the community than to see something that they've actually proposed or an idea that they had or a group of people that they got together with and actually see that be in the game. I mean, that is very, very exciting to people. Also, when it comes to storyline, I mean, there's so much imagination out there in gamers. There's ideas. Nobody can think of all the ideas. So getting this information and getting feedback from the community, it can really improve your game. And not only that, as far as the post-launch community, it can really spark a community connection between people who have a special interest in storylines. There's a lot of people who are fans of games who are really big writers as well. And so those people tend to find themselves during that process by giving feedback on storyline. And then there, things such as maps or even characters, the kind of gear that people are going to be able to wear. People put on gear in a game to show their identity as the person in real life or who they want to be. And there's certain pieces of gear or shapes or colors, any way you can think of it, that when people have the influence on that, they're just going to be more connected to the game because it's going to better reflect their own identity. And then obviously localization as well is something that's huge because, depending on your goals with the game, as far as what markets you're going to release into, you can get feedback from the community and even help with coming up with the glossary for the game itself by reaching out to the community pre-launch and get some of those kinks worked out prior to the game being launched.
So, it sounds like you're very passionate about community. If I had to ask you one last question, if there was one thing that you could do to help improve the game experience, um, what would that be?
Oh, it would absolutely be more of this, more of getting the community involved in a way that is really visible to them and really makes an impact in the future of the game, the trajectory of the game, because community gamers are passionate people and they are so good at organizing in online spaces. In fact, I think they really are the ones that set the bar for that as far as how people communicate online, and to see that respected and to see those people's voices be heard and reflected in games as they're actually produced, that to me is really the most important thing.
So, we're going to move into our frag round. And our frag round is a series of questions that kind of gauge where you land in kind of the gaming universe. Um, and so, let's get started. Favorite PC
Okay,
game?
my favorite PC game really has to be Lego Universe. Very close and dear to my heart. It does no longer exist, but it's a game that I worked on and I loved it. Great for any age.
Favorite console game?
Any of Guitar Hero or Just Dance games are definitely my favorite when it comes to console.
Favorite game genre?
Well, along those lines, really anything that is singing and dancing games, I'm a complete ham and I love to play games like that.
Best game experience?
Best game experience is also related to a dance game where I just completely killed my sister in Just Dance.
Worst game experience?
Worst game experience was trying to get over the first wall during the Warface training video, and I was working from a public library. I never succeeded getting over the wall, and I was really hoping that nobody was witnessing my humiliation.
Looking over your shoulder, going, oh,
Yeah,
that's painful. The,
exactly.
the most you've invested in a game?
I'm just gonna have to say, really, it's time. I've invested, despite what I said before, as far as the singing and dancing games, I really like 2048, which is a mobile game. I've invested a lot of time in 2048.
PC or mobile gaming?
Definitely mobile. I mostly play games like 2048 and Scrabble on my phone.
AR or VR?
There, I would have to say AR because I really like taking the existing world and adding to it. That to me is, for whatever reason, more interesting than a complete different world. I guess maybe it's because I'm just not as much of a fantasy game person.
That's all the time we have today. We'd like to thank today's guest, Chloe Swain, for her insights and perspective. For our viewers, if you have comments or suggestions on how to make Game Forward better, or if you have suggestions on who might be on the show, you can always reach us at gameforward@lionbridge.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can always find this and other web episodes at games.lionbridge.com. I'm your host,